Sooner fans, Longhorn Nation, welcome to episode 69 of the Boomer Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller, and I am John Whitson. For our 69th episode, we have a man that needs no introduction. He is the fourth most hated player by Longhorns in the Red River rivalry history, Butkus Award winner, Bednarik Award winner, color analyst for the OU radio crew, host of the Afternoon Rush, uncle of future Oklahoma soccer player, and former drummer for the band Rage Against the HOA, Teddy Lehman. Thank you so much for being on our 69th episode.
What's up, gentlemen? What an honor. What an honor.
The honor is all ours, Ted.
It can't be true. I can't be the fourth most hated. There's no way that's right.
Kevin, name them out. We talked about this.
Well, listen, man. Here's why. Here's why. Obviously, you're a great player. I think Texas fans have an issue with that whole 4-3-40 segment. For some reason, we're still bitter about that. And it may be a certain play you made back in 2001 that we're still butthurt about. Surely you can understand that, right?
It's probably just like real fatigue from watching that Superman play every single year nonstop.
Man, you can't escape it. You can't escape. And now I live here in Oklahoma, man. I seriously, the first time I met you, man, it all came rushing back to me. I'm like, oh man, I thought I got over this. It's PTSD. It's all over again. I feel it now.
I'll tell you, it's crazy. It was well over 20 years ago, and I feel like every year it's like a bigger thing than it was previously. It's weird.
Man, it was an amazing play. It still hurts. It still hurts.
Ted, Oklahoma beat down Tulsa yesterday. Great call on the game yesterday. What were your thoughts on that game, non-conference play, and what do we need to get ready for as we head into conference play next week?
I thought all in all it was really good. I thought it was awesome to see all the young guys coming through. Man, offensively, how about the playmaking from Nick Anderson? It was good to see Sawchuck out there. I thought, seeing Caden Green playing some guard, I thought was really good. Savion Byrd, don't know what exactly is going on there yet, but I thought all in all was really good. Dylan Gabriel was fantastic, continues to be fantastic, and If we were complaining about being too conservative against SMU, well, that was not the case against Tulsa. They came out and they were letting it fly, all kinds of big plays. I thought offensively it was really good.
I would like
defensive side,
I would like to be the first to complain about us being too aggressive. I thought we were too aggressive. We took too many shots. Maybe we should, just close the playbook up a little bit and get ready for. No, I'm just kidding. You're going to talk about defense. When you talk about defense, you are the linebacker extraordinaire expert at Oklahoma. Danny Stutzman is the best linebacker at OU since.
Kenneth Murray, but
that's almost too easy, right? I mean, that's almost too easy.
But it's unfortunately it's true, because different defenses, it's hard to do that, and I'll say this. I don't know since when, because the circumstances around it are tough to really compare players, but the dude he's on a roll right now. He's playing incredible football. He, he ended last year really good, and he's picked up right where he left off. If you include the back couple of games of last year and then the first 3 of this year, I mean, he's played 5 or 6 really, really good football games, continues to make big plays, continues to make highlight reel plays, has a command over the defense. He's way more physical than he was a year ago, and that comes from just knowing where he's supposed to be and playing square to the line of scrimmage. You can't say enough. Not only is he playing really good football, he's fun to watch, right? He's entertaining, which, I don't like. He's the most entertaining player we've had on defense since maybe Eric Stryker.
I made a bold prediction at the beginning of the year that he was a first-team All-American. I thought maybe I was reaching a little bit. after 3 games, is that as big a reach as we would have thought at the beginning of the season?
I don't think
First
it's a reach
team
at all.
All-American.
I don't think it's a reach at all. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with how this team plays down the stretch and kind of where we are, whenever the season is, whenever we're starting to get into the real meat and potatoes and figuring out who's going where and who's going to be playoff teams, who's not, who's playing in conference championships. If he continues to play like he is right now, there's no doubt, without no question, first team All-American type of player. Absolutely. Which, is really impressive considering where he's come in 1 year. This time last year, there was a bunch of questions. He's always played hard. He's always run to the football. He's always done all those things. But, there was so many like pre-snap issues that he was making things so difficult on himself. It was hard to kind of know, like, if he gets it, like, how far can he go? And, well, whenever you see what it looks like whenever he gets it, sky's the limit.
Hey, Teddy, it looked like the pressure was there too from the defensive line. What'd you think about that yesterday?
Yeah, I thought pressure wise, and continue teams, three teams in a row have played us, and they don't give us very many opportunities to pressure the quarterback. Boot, sprint, max protect, 6-man protection, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hand really quickly with 3-step stuff or just quick read stuff. The teams are not giving us an opportunity to just pin our ears back, rush 4 against 5 blockers and see what we could do, which, that's a good thing. That means our defense and our defensive line are creating enough pressure to where teams have to really limit themselves offensively with what they can do in the passing game. So I love what I've seen. I continue to feel really good about where the defensive line's at.
Yeah, things just seem to look a little bit more in sync last year. I know Venables' system can be a little complicated, right? You have to be in the right position. It doesn't matter how athletic you are, especially at the linebacker spot. But I'm seeing this cohesion from the D-line to the linebackers to the secondary. Everything just seems to be flowing better this year.
Yeah, communication's better. Guys are lined up. I don't know how many times last year, whenever you're watching games, there's like a scramble of the defense to get in position right as the offense is snapping the ball, and guys are, they're late, they're out of position because of it. They're lunging for tackles instead of being square in good position. So yeah, all that stuff right now looks pretty good. And obviously it's going to continue to ramp up, right? 3 non-conference games. I think SMU's offense is pretty good. The other 2 offenses we faced are very limited. So, some things can be hard to gauge, but you can't narc our guys for doing what they're supposed to do against the teams that they've played.
Back to the offense real quick. They were humming, and DG played his best game maybe as a Sooner. I mean, he was fantastic. The receivers were fantastic. If there is a complaint or a pause, maybe it's the running game. What's up with Tawi Walker, and what's keeping us from that running game really popping and seeing some numbers that we might have expected to see against a defense like Tulsa?
I think it's just the way people are playing us. Teams continue to pile the box on us, and whenever we're running the football, we're typically running it against an 8-man box where they've got us outnumbered. I think that's going to change. Now, yesterday showed that if you're going to play us like that, here's our answer. We're going to absolutely torch you deep, especially if you got a guy like Nick Anderson that's 6'4" and can run like he can. You better pick. You better give those corners some help, or we're going to absolutely torch you over the top. And, if they're going to give the corners help, then all of a sudden the box looks really good for some bigger running plays. And the other thing is, we haven't seen it yet, but it's going to come. When we get into conference play, and I think this week against Cincinnati, against a really good defense, the quarterback run game is about to start showing up. And as soon as the quarterback run game shows up and the numbers all of a sudden, even if you're in an 8-man box defensively, the numbers swing back into the offense's favor, it's going to open things way up. It's going to make it more difficult. They're going to have to play the edges of our offense a little bit softer for the quarterback run game, and it's going to give those backs more creases.
And I would imagine that's what having Jackson Arnold does, right? You can have more of a willingness to run Gabriel, because if he were to get dinged up, you got a more than competent backup.
That's right. He looked good coming in, didn't he? Stepped out there, first throw, just throw a drill bit down the sideline for a touchdown. Hit Nick Anderson in stride. Yeah, I'm really pleased with where we are quarterback wise. I think it obviously there's probably going to be a lot of talk about how good Jackson Arnold look and on that throw. And for some reason, we've got fans that are dug in on Dylan Gabriel not being any good. It doesn't matter what the numbers look like. That's just what people are going to say. And
Teddy, they're out of their damn minds. They're out of their minds. That he is going to give us every opportunity to win a Big 12 championship this year and get us to a playoff. Like, I don't know what you have to see. I mean, people talk about our long line of quarterbacks. Yes, he's not Baker and he's not Kyler, but he's almost as productive as Jalen Hurts was in college. Jalen Hurts, let's remember, was not the passer that he is with the Eagles. So he's given us every opportunity. Yeah, he's not Caleb Williams either. Those are 3 Heisman Trophy guys, but he's really, really good, dude. And he is becoming more and more accurate. His decision-making is there. And these dudes, you talked about it with the receivers, it's going to be another question of who's the number 1 receiver, not because nobody emerged, but because 3 or 4 dudes emerged,
yeah.
and we still don't know who the number 1 receiver is. Like, it's a good problem, not a bad problem.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think Dylan Gabriel's been good. I think the wide receivers showed up. I was a little worried last week, and I think it was a point to play SMU conservatively. I don't know why. I have no idea, because they purposely didn't do the things that they did against Tulsa. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you why Nick Anderson didn't play hardly any snaps. I can't tell you why Jaden Gibson didn't play hardly any snaps, and Barnes and Sawchuk and those guys. I don't know. And I really don't care. I'm way past that. They look great against Tulsa. Dylan Gabriel continued. This isn't a perfect team right now. There's mistakes out there. If you really want to dig in and find them, and I fully understand the competition level, but from what I've seen, I have a real difficult time being hard on anything Dylan Gabriel's done. Like, most of his poor plays, which are very few, there's some type of outside factor, whether it's pressure, whether it's a bust, by a receiver or a running back. I mean, rarely is there a clean pocket, open receivers, and he's just flat out not hitting guys. What does that happen 2 or 3 times the entire season? I mean, that's going to happen when you play college football. I mean, it's just how it is.
And I feel like his guys are making plays on the ball this year. In addition to everything you just said, when he does put the ball up there, Gibson only had 1 catch, but it was a very competitive, over the middle, athletic play. And then, Farouk and Anthony, my goodness, those guys are just playing. They're electric when they get the ball. And then we're not even talking about Nick Anderson yet. I mean, this kid's emerged out of, the hype for the last 2 years has been insane around Nick Anderson, and to see him finally emerge, I'm starting to feel better and better about the offense going into conference play. Is there anything we should be worried about? Cincinnati just loses to Miami, Ohio. Anything that we need to be worried about as we approach Cincinnati?
Offensive line. I haven't watched the Miami and Cincinnati game yet. The worst thing that could have happened was what happened. Is Cincinnati loses to Miami. And I don't know what happened in that game, but I know what I watched against Pitt. And that defensive line and the 2 inside backers, frankly, really their whole defense is legit. They are really good. It's not even close, the level of defensive line that they have compared to what we've seen. It ain't close. And there may not be another defensive line we see like it all year. The only other one that I would compare is maybe the interior of Texas with their 2 big guys. But outside of that, Dante Corleone, 320 pounds, can run. They are really good in the front 7. It's going to be a challenge. And that's why I think the quarterback run game is going to show up, because we're going to have to find a way to slow those guys down a little bit and swing the numbers back into our favor a little bit. And we're going to have to test it deep, and Gabriel's going to have to trust his wide receivers to go win one-on-ones. And, with what they did against Tulsa, and you brought up the point about the wide receivers, and I talked about on the broadcast. It looks like a concerted effort for these guys to go and grab the ball. They're not waiting on it. They're not catching it with their body. They're attacking it with their hands. And if you're Dylan Gabriel, you love to see that, and you're going to continue to build trust.
What do you make of Texas this year so far?
They look great against Alabama. I was laughing whenever I saw Alabama in that South Florida. I was like, this is Nick Saban just trying to steal Texas's thunder, right? Yeah. It's worth it to go out there and barely get past South Florida just so everyone will be like, well, is Texas really that good?
That good? Yeah.
I think they're awesome. I think they look really good. I shouldn't have said awesome. I don't know why.
Awesome's a strong word, Teddy. That's a strong word when we're describing Texas. That's not really what we're going for here on the Boomer Bevo podcast, but go ahead.
Strike that from the record, please. They look really good. What worries me about Texas is the star power. And Sarkisian, as an offensive coordinator, I think is one of the best in the country. I think Lincoln Riley is right there at getting his stars the football with opportunities to go and make something big happen. I think the game against Wyoming, I didn't see much of it. It was on, I don't have Longhorn Network, but I listened to a lot of it on the drive back from Tulsa. And I kind of expected them to not play very good against Wyoming, right? You've got the big win against Alabama. There's a natural letdown. Kind of expected that. They separated in the end. I think Texas, and this isn't just a Texas thing, but that Kansas game Kansas is a dangerous football team.
Absolutely.
And that's an interesting one right there with where it falls on the schedule. It's not a good place for Texas with where it falls on the schedule. So I think Texas is dangerous. I think whenever that offense is clicking and Quinn Ewers is protected, Quinn Ewers, terrible whenever he's under pressure. Quinn Ewers protected, excellent. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that are like that, but his eyes come down. You watch that Rice game where he got hit some early. His eyes are down on the rush the entire time instead of down the field looking at receivers. I think that Alabama game probably gave him quite a bit more trust in the offensive line, but I think they're still probably building that. I think defensively, like for Oklahoma, whenever I'm just thinking about that game, it's going to be a 50-50 ball game. I think Nick Anderson, I think Farouk, I think some of those guys are good enough to go win competitive balls against their secondary. Their secondary is just okay to me. I think the best part of their defense is the interior of their front seven, inside backers, inside defensive line.
Well, when I think about the OU Texas game, Teddy, and you tell me, I think it's good on the other side of the ball. I look at Texas's wide receivers against our secondary. When we start thinking about how well Woody Washington's been playing, of course, we know Bowman's a star. We've seen Pearson start to hit boys. And then Gentry Williams having a really, really good game yesterday. Hopefully he's still not nicked up too bad against Jatavion Saunders and Worthy and Whittington and A.D. Mitchell. I mean, to me, that's a heavyweight matchup just in the secondary, our secondary versus their receivers.
Yeah. And I feel better with our secondary than I have in a long time, given those situations. I think the Sanders kid is a really dangerous weapon, but I also think he's a wide receiver playing tight end. And that's good for them in the passing game, but he is horrible blocking. Does not want to block at all.
Kevin, is that true? Is he horrible at blocking?
Yeah, he's not very good, man. I mean, he's stepped up his effort a little bit to become a willing blocker, but he's not very effective. He's obviously much more comfortable when he's split out, either at H-back or split out wide.
Yeah, when you watch people that have good edge guys that attack him, he don't want anything to do with it. So I think that's an advantage for Oklahoma. Now, whenever you watch the first three games for Oklahoma, teams have had a very difficult time getting their tight ends out into the route scheme because they have to max protect against our defensive line. I think Texas they'll be way better on the offensive line, so we'll see more straight drop back pass where they get everyone out. But that's something to watch. And I'm just curious to see how Brent Venables plays that offense. It's going to be a chess match, but
yeah, sure.
Right now, I think that you have to look at it and say Texas has the edge slightly because of star power offensively. But if Nick Anderson continues to play the way he is, and Jaden Gibson continues to be a good part of the offense and quarterback run game. If we see the quarterback run game emerge against Cincinnati, I think that could level the playing field.
Ted, we know that you've got to get going because you've got your Oklahoma breakdown with Gabe Eichert to record here in a little bit. Man, we couldn't appreciate you more jumping on our 69th episode. It means a lot to us. We know that means a lot to you. So again, man, we just really appreciate it. This was great. Any parting words for the Texas fans that are listening today?
Don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable. I know it's fun. I know that Alabama game was a huge win, and it's fun to pound the chest a little bit, but don't get too comfortable. Look out for Kansas.
Oh, I love it, man.
Yeah, we'll be ready, man. Yeah.
Thanks, and have a great Sunday, and have a great call next week during conference play. We're excited for it.
Thanks, Eddie.
All right, fellas, take it easy. That was good, boys.
I think he thinks we're still going. I'm going to text him right now and let him know that I turned him off. What do you think? Can you hear me okay, Kevin?
Yeah, we're good, man. Yeah, great to have Teddy on.
Yep, I'm going to send him everybody listening, sending a quick text message to Teddy and say thanks for jumping on, and we're going to keep on going. Hey, Ted, thanks for jumping on. We're just going to keep on going, but we appreciate you. Little voice to text. There you go. How awesome was that? How awesome was that?
Great to have a legend on, always.
Dude, a Buckus Award winner? Are you kidding me? That is the power of the Boomer Bevo podcast right now. That gets me fired up. Man, you see how good looking he is?
Man, it looks like he can still play, man.
It looks like he could still go right now. Yeah. Like, listen, you can say Stutzman all you want, dude. Put Lehman back in pads. I'll take it. I'll take it right now. Oh, my God.
I don't know if he'll sign up for that. You know what I mean? After, so many years of football, playing in the NFL. What did he do, 8 years in the NFL? It's a lot of football, man.
Oh, it was great. It was great. All right. Well, hey, dude. Let's go through. Let's break down yesterday's games because there was actually a lot to talk about. We got to talk about, though, what is clearly continuing to be the story of the college football world, nay, the sports world. There they are. There they are for everybody listening. Kevin Miller, like a child, has just put on sunglasses. Colorado with the comeback win, double overtime, 43-35 against their in-state rival Colorado State. Kevin, can this story get any better?
Man, can it? I mean, it's been amazing, right? I mean, we talked about this before the season. I was excited about Coach Prime. We knew it'd bring a big buzz to the program and to college football in general. And I told you how excited I was to watch Shedeur Sanders play at this level. But no way did we thought that they would start off 3-0. And there's just no way, right?
No.
Especially beating TCU and then beating down Nebraska, their old arch rival, and then taking care of their other rival, Colorado State. It's been a dream start for them, and I'm just excited to see where it can go. Everybody's pretty much on board now, so let's just stay tuned and see what happens.
Did the dream end when Travis Hunter got hit on the sideline? Was that the first quarter, second quarter? I know it was in the first half. Did the dream end there? Are we waking up for them as a dream? And is that going to affect them going to play Oregon?
Well, yes, it will affect them. He's the best player on the football team, right?
Probably the best player in the country.
He's a dynamic player. He plays both ways, never comes off the field hardly, plays special teams too, right? At a level, again, we haven't seen since Chris Gamble back in 2002, right? Obviously, it's going to affect them, but I was impressed with just how resilient they were. This is a well-coached football team, right? You usually don't see teams like that lose your best player. They're down. Colorado State was playing really well, right? And for them to be able to come back down by 8, pen deep at their own 2-yard line with less than 2 minutes to go, and for Shedeur Sanders to lead them right down the field, get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I haven't seen out of Texas in a long time, that kind of resiliency. I haven't seen that since the, Colt McCoy days. So it's just incredible to see that in the coach's first year, to see that kind of resilient play from the team.
I mean, Oklahoma's seen that resiliency out of guys like Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. That's the level of player it usually takes to, and it's not like Colorado State. They didn't make any ginormous mistakes on that drive. It was just Colorado making plays. Correct. And then to get to, once they got to overtime, you knew Colorado was going to win. Like once it was in overtime, I know it went to 2 overtimes, but I just never doubted it. Colorado was going to win that game. There was no other way for it to end.
Yeah, they had a lot of confidence in Shedeur Sanders, man. Like I told you, we talked about him before the season. I told you how good he was. I just didn't know that he was that good. He's even better than I expected him to be at this level. And just so quickly, how quickly things are falling into place. It looks like they have a culture that's been established for years. So you talked about the Baker Mayfield and the Kyler Murray being able to win close games and battle like that. That's a culture that would have been built by Bob Stoops starting in 1999.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just been there. Right. And Lincoln Riley, when he became the coach, it just kind of carried on. This is brand new. This is a brand new coach, brand new players. All these players are brought in from other programs, and it's just all fitting in together instantly. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it.
They play Oregon next week, 2:30 Central kick. If they beat Oregon, the football world will lose their damn minds. Like we will completely melt down. And I don't know. I hate Oregon. So it's it's very natural for me to root for Colorado. So
this is because of 06, right? Is this the reason for your hatred of Oregon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And their stupid uniforms. I'm done with the uniforms, dude. Like, come on. We get it. You have a lot of uniforms. Stop it. Stop with
they're basically the testing ground for Nike. Anytime Nike develops new technology, they roll them out.
I get all the reasons.
The kids like it. The kids and the recruits. We're talking about, if you look at it from a 17-year-old kid's perspective, you like wearing different uniforms and all this stuff. Blue Bloods don't have to do that, right? Because we have tradition that has been there forever.
Let's face it, dude. Oregon's just lucky they got into the Big Ten, because they could be out there in purgatory. So just be happy where you're at, Oregon.
Well, they are.
But to be fair, Dan Lanning's going to have them ready to play. That's
psychotic. A good football team. He is psychotic. That's a good football team, man. They blew out, Hawaii. Bo Nix, they've resurrected his career. Really wasn't working out for him at Auburn. He's been really good the last half of last season. Going into this year, dude looks like a legit potential All-American type candidate. He's having a great year. It's going to be a huge game. I can't wait to see it.
Around the rest of the country, one of the games we picked, we both expected K-State to roll Missouri. K-State looked terrible in the first half. I have no idea what they were doing with some of their offensive and defensive plays. But then Missouri to kick a 61-yard game winner. I mean, holy crap, man. I don't know what statistic is more amazing. Colorado doing a 98-yard drive with 2 minutes to go, or a 61-yard game winner against a ranked K-State team. I mean, both. It's insane.
I watched the end of that game as it was happening, and Missouri was making so many mistakes on that drive. I mean, penalties, they're not managing the clock right, just all sorts of, they're not getting set for snaps. It just looked horrible. I'm like, there's no way they're going to win this game. And then I'm like, when they tried the kid on the field, I'm like, 61-yard field goal. I mean, you might as well go for it. You have nothing to lose, but man, what a kick. What a moment for them beating their old Big 12 rival.
Oh, man. Okay. That was one where the SEC got over on the Big 12. Also, we both lost that game, by the way. We also picked the BYU-Arkansas game. Is BYU not who we thought they were? 38-31 on the road?
And look, Arkansas, that's a tough place to go play, right? Fayetteville, those fans are insane. Texas knows. We went there in 2021 and just got the crap beat out of us. by Arkansas. So for them to go there and win, I don't know, man. It looks like it's going to be a tough conference this year.
Look,
even though there are some bad performances from the Big 12. We'll get into that, though.
Well, we will get into that. But real quick, BYU he picked across by nearly everybody as the basement of the Big 12 down there with Houston. Like, nobody was expecting anything on BYU. You have to look at it differently now, though, right? That game suddenly looms a little more tricky. I mean, because say what you want, Arkansas is still an SEC team. It was an SEC environment. It was on the road. It was a night game. And they were every bit as physical as Arkansas was. This, again, wasn't some tricky, fluky, finesse type win. They were beating down Arkansas pretty good and kind of controlled the game.
Yeah, and we talk about this with BYU, right? A lot of their players have gone on LDS missions. So by the time they get to college, they're grown men. So they always have a physical, I don't want to say an advantage, but they're not going to get pushed around.
No.
They're not going to get pushed around by anybody. Again, we talk about they have a level of maturity that most college players don't have.
The other game we picked was an all SEC tilt. I did not see it coming. You didn't pick Florida either. But how did Florida do what they did to Tennessee? I can't believe that. I can't believe that just listen. Is anybody in the SEC any good outside of Georgia? And then in parentheses or quotation marks or whatever, is Georgia that good after what happened with South Carolina? I mean, my mind from this weekend, this was supposed to be an easy weekend, the bunch of teams just doing what they do and get to conference play. And then we see Florida upset Tennessee. We see South Carolina hang with Georgia. We see Alabama struggle against South Florida. What the heck is going on in the SEC? And what do we take away from it going into week 4?
Yeah, man. It looks like, and did we underrate LSU? Did we jump off LSU's bandwagon too quickly after that loss against Florida State? Because they look pretty good.
I don't think Mississippi State's any good.
Me neither, but I mean, they did beat them down, though.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the SEC is weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird, they're still the best conference in college football, but why is Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State beating teams down and the SEC is not?
I don't know, man. I mean, the Pac-12 this year, they've got some really good teams out there too, right? And I'm not saying if you put all those teams against the SEC, but I don't know. That's a loaded conference at the top, man. And I think they're about 6 deep in that conference of really quality teams.
Oregon, Utah, you have to add Colorado in there now.
Yeah,
USC, UCLA,
Washington.
Of course, Washington. Washington might be the best of the bunch. Washington could be outside Caleb Williams, I don't know. Shadir Sanders is pretty good right now too. Those 3 quarterbacks, though, are fantastic.
You can realistically see 3 or 4 teams winning that conference, and it would not be a surprise at all.
You could see 3 or 4 quarterbacks in New York with those 3 dudes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what?
So
that's the problem.
It's going to be great to see how that unfolds.
The problem with the SEC is there's no quarterbacks. You got the kid from LSU. I mean, right now, as I think about Georgia, you probably know the answer, but I don't know who the Georgia quarterback's name is off the top of my head.
Carson Beck, but that's only because I follow him as a recruit, But yeah, their offense doesn't look great. I mean, their offense has never really been super dynamic, but Stetson Bennett, man, he would at least sling it down the field to those dudes.
We talked about with Teddy earlier, we talked about Cincinnati getting beat. Not good for Oklahoma. We do not need Oklahoma rolling into that game. Anyway, the rest of the country kind of did what they were supposed to do. I went 2-3. You went 2-3 on the season. I am 10-5. You are 8-7. If you're listening to the Boomer Bevo podcast, you are making money. It's that simple.
If you're using our picks, yes.
It's an easy decision to listen to the Boomer Bevo podcast. Do not hold us responsible for any picks, and nor do we advocate gambling.
Right. Real quick. I want to get into the Big 12 before we go on.
Oh God, you talking about Oklahoma State?
Yes, I mean 33-7 to South Alabama.
What are they doing, dude?
I don't know. They gotta figure out who's their quarterback. You can't be rotating 3 guys. This is not gonna work. It's not sustainable at all.
It's just stupid. Like if I'm an OSU fan, I mean, Gundy has done some antics and some tricks over the years. that, whatever people get, they'll either defend them or it'll bug them or whatever. But this is a bit much, right? I mean,
Correct.
what is he doing?
Even for him, yeah. Pick a quarterback, man. If it's your son, play your son. If it's the other kids, play them. But pick one. And then Iowa State, you lose to who did they lose to? Ohio, the Ohio Bobcats. Man, rough, man.
No, it's not good. But I feel like I have to say this every episode, but I'm going to say it again. It underlines what Oklahoma and Texas have to do in this conference. The two of us have to roll this conference. We'll never have a better year to roll through a conference for the rest of our existence than we will this year right now, because the Big 12 is terrible. They're just not very good. Again, could BYU, look at them. Could they sneak up and get a win? Maybe. Could K-State give you all problems? I guess. Texas Tech looks like they've got dudes, but they haven't put it together yet. But still, dude, you got to win these games. Oklahoma and Texas have to win these games because they're just – look, Cincinnati lost to Miami of Ohio. Like, you just – I don't care. I mean, Teddy raved about their defense just now, but I can't unsee that score. So –
yeah, and it's not like they got Ben Roethlisberger. Remember Miami of Ohio when they had him? It's not like they got Ben Roethlisberger playing quarterback for them. Cincinnati.
Those were the good old days. Was that the MAC?
Yeah.
Now, who was the quarterback that they carried down? It went in the MAC.
That was Leftwich.
Yes, Byron Leftwich. What a great game! I watched that game live, and they're carrying him down.
Yeah,
and he's picking. Game. Oh my god, dude! The MAC back then had some players, man. Pennington.
Fun. Yeah.
Wasn't Chad Pennington in that league?
Yeah. Yeah, he played for Marshall as well. He was before Leftwich.
Oh. Oh, those are good times, man.
Good times.
Real quick, shout out to our sponsor, Brown O'Haver. They are public insurance adjusters for the insured. So if your insurance company is handling your own insurance claim, like Mike Gundy is handling the quarterback situation at OSU, maybe you should consider giving Brown O'Haver a call at 405-735-5510. They work for the insured, not the insurance company. They will make sure that the insurance company is not messing you around like Mike Gundy's messing around with the quarterback situation. Instead, they will work to get you paid more quickly. On average, Brown O'Haver gets their clients 30 to 40% more than they get on their own. Give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510. I don't know that we need to go into a full breakdown of the OU game, so I just want to rattle off just a couple of my thoughts that we didn't cover with Teddy, and then we'll talk about Wyoming and Texas. I'm concerned about the running game. I still don't know what happened to Tawi Walker. I even asked Teddy just there, and he didn't even really answer it. So I don't know if he was hurt or if he was suspended. The other guys are not as good as him right now. They're just not. And I'm glad that Barnes got some run, but even with the run, he 13 for 68, 5.2 yards per carry. Not a bad stat line.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Not a bad stat line, but he still doesn't have those explosive runs, man. He doesn't have the top end speed. And so that's an issue. Defensively, though, holy crap, man. 5 interceptions from 5 different dudes. I don't even know the last time Oklahoma had 5 interceptions.
It's a lot of interceptions, man. And that quarterback that they started off.
Oof.
First,
as my daughter would say,
first 3 drives, pick, right? The smartest thing they did was bring in the other kid. I know he turned it over twice too, but at least he gave you something.
But he came in and Oklahoma their defense didn't make like an immediate adjustment, and they picked up a little bit of steam, got 2 scores out of him. But then kind of once OU settled in on what his tendencies were, it looked like they shut that down pretty quick. But I don't know. Great team win. Again, Oklahoma, at least, especially defensively, over all 3 games, is doing exactly what you would hope they would have done with this schedule. Offensively, 2 out of 3 games, they did what they needed to do. Anderson was fantastic as a receiver, but I'm telling you what, Farouk might be the edge for me right now on number 1 receiver because he just seems really consistent right now. He's a playmaker, and I really like what he's doing. But that's not dude, Andrell Anthony stepping up. The speed on that guy is fantastic.
I think you're looking for a guy when you need a play. We got to have it here. It's 3rd and 4 and a huge moment, and we got to get a first down. Who's that guy? And maybe it is Farouk for you guys, right?
The reality is we haven't had that problem except against
Correct.
SMU, I guess. And Farouk made the play, right, to get us up.
Yeah.
So maybe it is Farouk. And look, don't forget Stutes had 8. He had 8 catches for 53 yards and 2 touchdowns. Is all that dude had. So I don't know, man. Oklahoma looked really good. The running game just makes me nervous. If the defensive line is as good as Teddy says they are at Cincinnati, I want to see more production. And am I going crazy about not knowing what happened to Tawee Walker? Do you know what happened to Tawee Walker?
No, I have no clue.
Okay, I'm just making sure I didn't miss something because.
So did he not play at all yesterday?
He didn't get any carries.
Okay, so interesting after having a 100-yard game the week before.
I did, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. All right, that's Oklahoma. We talked a lot about it already with Ted. Let's jump over to Wyoming. Dogfight for 3 quarters. You did not pick Texas to cover, but did you expect it to be that prickly heading into the 4th quarter?
No, I did not. I thought it would be a game where they would take an early lead and just kind of maintain it by running the ball. It was interesting, man, because it got nervy there for a little bit. I texted you. I'm like, man, I don't know. I had a bad feeling about it. They were up 10-7. In Wyoming, we punted to them, and they drove it all the way down. I mean, they were in the red zone. And at that point, we hadn't really done much of anything offensively. If they would have got a touchdown there, I mean, like I said, I was way more nervous than I thought I would be with this game. So it was just Sark in his press conference, right? He mentioned a Mac Brown quote after Texas beat Ohio State in 2005. And the game after that, they had a bit of a letdown performance too. And Mac Brown said, we didn't play well because our backs were sore. Our backs were sore from everybody patting us on the back all week and telling us how great we were. And that's pretty much what happened. Teddy said that too.
That's exactly what happened. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. 100%. I mean, it's a huge game. You're on all the shows. Everybody's talking about you. You did great. All on campus, all the students, everybody you run into is telling you how awesome you are. And yeah, it just lacked focus. And you can see it from the jump. We go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama the week before. We have no pre-snap penalties. Okay. We're at home against Wyoming, and we have a false start on the first play of the game. Right? We just weren't settled, weren't ready to play, weren't super focused. So I'm just glad they're able to get the win. You know, it wasn't a great performance, especially offensively. We allowed them on their first drive a 62-yard touchdown run. I don't think we even touched the running back on that play either.
What were Quinn's stats?
Man, they were not good. Let me get them. I got them here.
So we had bad Quinn yesterday.
We had bad Quinn, you know, and you asked me that, and your credit, you said, "Are we going to get good or bad Quinn?" I'm thinking like maybe bad Quinn is done, and I was wrong about that. You were right. I've got Quinn Ewers. Give me 1 second here.
I like it when I'm right.
11 of 21.
I like it when I'm right about Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
More than when I'm
and
wrong.
Here's the thing, you know,
what was it again?
Mechanics.
Say it again.
Okay, 11 of 21.
Okay.
11 of 21 for 131 yards with 2 touchdowns.
That's terrible.
Yeah, the 11 to 21. Now, look, if the game plan, he only threw 21 passes, right?
Yeah,
but 11 of them, and he's missing guys. And we had drops. So there was some time we had guys open, and he's just throwing over their heads, just missing guys. And then we had some drops too. So I don't know, man. I did not like the performance from the offense at all. Thankfully, they got the running game going with Jonathan Brooks. He finished with 21 carries, 164 yards. He had a big 61-yard run in the 4th quarter. It really busted the game open. So, again, he looked good running the ball. The offensive line was okay with the running game, but the passing game just wasn't there.
I mean, it sounds like the defense traveled. Because how many points did Wyoming put up against Texas Tech for comparison?
Oh, I think they had 30 something. I think it was in the 30s.
The issue wasn't on the defensive side of the ball. It was all offense.
Yeah, correct. They let that big run happen on Wyoming's first drive, 62-yard touchdown run, and then after that, they only got a field goal for the rest of the entire game. So the defense was good. They covered well. They gave up a lot of short passes. I think that was just part of the game plan, but. Yeah, the defense was fine. The defense was fine. It was just kind of just sloppy all around.
Who do y'all have next week? Who do you open in conference play?
Baylor, first Big 12 game on the road in Waco.
We're going to get to that preview, but for Texas's sake, it's time to get refocused, right? You got to wipe this.
Absolutely.
You got the backslapping needs to end. Like, hopefully this is, I say hopefully, I hope you lose. I was rooting for Wyoming, but hopefully you wipe that, the backslapping away and y'all get back to it, because Baylor hung with Utah. They really, really did.
Correct,
like, that was
yes.
a close game. We know Utah probably doesn't have the skill talent that Texas has, but they have every bit the offense and defensive lines and fundamentals and toughness.
Dave Aranda always does a pretty good job of game planning against Sark. Last year, it got to the point to where he had Quinn so lost out there that they just ran the ball. And they just ran, which I think you should do all the time. Why not? Because
when you have Bijan Robinson,
and Roshan, they just ran them and ran them and ran them and ran them and ran them. I think there was one point we had like 20 straight runs, and I had no problem with it. So it's going to be a good game plan. They got to get refocused. And one thing that cannot happen with this team, and I've already seen it twice, you cannot play down to your level of competition, right? Now, that you may have gotten away with it against Wyoming, right? But once you get into the conference, you're going to have better players. Right?
You have better players and teams that know you and coaches that know you.
Correct.
And coaches that can scheme against you. Everything just gets tighter. It just gets tighter.
You can't play down to what you think Baylor is, because you will lose. Simple as that, against any team in the conference.
Isn't that insane that you can come off a week where you feel like you can beat anybody in the country, and then you play a Wyoming game and you're like, God dang, now we got to play freaking Baylor.
It was 10-10 in the fourth quarter.
Nothing is better than college football. The swings of emotions. It's like being on a golf course. You make a birdie and you follow it up with a bogey and you're like, oh my, I was great and now I suck. And that's kind of how college football is.
With this season, we saw this a lot yesterday, right? Teams, Florida State almost lost to Boston College. Right?
Listen,
this was a lot of close games.
This was
from teams that weren't supposed to be
a routine week, and everybody got put on notice. Every single team, whether I say that except for the teams in the Big Ten. Yeah. The teams in the Big Ten took care of business. Yeah. Iowa took care of business. I don't even see the Michigan score here, but I know Ohio State.
I think it was like 31-6. I mean, not a huge beatdown. It was Bowling Green there, and that game was pretty close early.
Man, I
think through like halftime.
We do have conference play starting. Oklahoma takes on Cincinnati, so we both have road games. It's going to be really interesting to see. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the rankings after Tennessee's loss, if that bumps Oklahoma up any. We actually won last week and covered the spread and fell because of Colorado, which is fine. I think Colorado is going to get that hype benefit. I'm curious to see if they bump up any. Oregon is what, like 11th right now?
I think they were 13th yesterday.
So at best, it's a top 25 matchup. If Colorado beats Oregon, you're talking top 10 matchup, right?
Yeah, they're going
against
into the top
USC.
10. Yeah, they're going. Yeah, they're absolutely going into the top 10.
Is there an early line on that game?
That's gonna be a fun game, man. I can't wait to see. Because now they're not surprising anybody at this point. Everybody knows what it is, right? So Oregon's going to be ready to go. Colorado's going to be ready to go.
You know what the spread is? You know what?
No.
Do you know? Okay, you want to guess what the spread is?
I'll say Oregon -3.
17.5.
17.5.
Let me see when this article was written. Let me just make sure.
Wow.
Yeah, September 17th at 2:49 a.m. I'm on actionnetwork.com. So
okay.
Maybe let me just double check. Let me check.
No. I mean, hey, you just never know what Vegas is thinking, right?
19.5 on DraftKings, which is what we go to.
Okay.
Well, first of all, that means Vegas does not respect Colorado's wins to this point. And I think they're concerned about Travis Hunter being hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is so dynamic, man, as a receiver and as a corner. But man, I don't know the toughness of that team. Now, look, they got to get better. They're not great up front on either line. They struggle protecting Shedeur. He took some hits. Some of them were a little bit dirty by Colorado State, but he's taking a lot of hits, man. That's my only concern about him, especially when they go up against the type of talent that Oregon has up front. So, from the skill position wise, I think Colorado's guys can play with anybody, but we all know these games are won and lost in the trenches. So that might be their biggest downfall in this game, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
Hey, it's going to be a great week. Everyone out there, thank you so much for listening to the Boomer Bevo podcast. Again, a big thanks to Teddy Lehman for jumping on. That was awesome. We've got week 4 coming up. We'll do our preview. It'll be basically a conference preview because it'll be our first conference games coming next week. Kevin, I cannot believe it's already week 4. It's blowing my mind. It's going. It's quick, agonizing, man. Slow, and then way too fast, all at the same time. And I can't stand it. But dude, listen, both schools made it through non-cons, no major injuries. We're ready for this run. Oklahoma needs to do it. Texas needs to do it. Let's get it. Boomer.
Real quick, man.
Texas. You gave me a premature boomer.
Yeah. One more thing. Yeah.
Whoa.
You can say you guys say that all the time.
First of all, I can say boomer whenever I want. But go
ahead. Exactly.
Go ahead. This is the first time in the Boomer Bevo podcast, though, that I've let out a premature boomer for the record. Right. Got excited by episode
Texas
69.
3-0 for the first time since 2012. Can you believe that?
What happened in the 2012? What happened in the 2012 OU Texas game?
I don't know. I've put that out of my mind completely.
That was a beatdown, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Okay.
That's why I said I put it out of my mind completely. Yes.
I asked that pretty quick, and I wasn't sure.
Oh no, it was 66 to 17. What was the score on that one?
62-13.
62-13. My
63. Goodness. No, I'm sorry. 63-21. 63-21.
It wasn't even a great OU team either.
Didn't Oklahoma run back like a 2-point conversion too on you guys, or was that Texas? Who ran the 2-point conversion back? I know there was a run 2-point conversion back in that game. Do you remember that?
I don't remember much about that game. Was that the game when Damian Williams had that 98-yard touchdown run? Was that one?
95. Yep.
95-yard.
Blake Bell with the Belldozer, 4 touchdowns.
God,
Dude's still doing great for Kansas City. He's still doing really good. Although Travis Kelce's back now. Apparently dating Taylor Swift. For all you Swifties out there, if you didn't know this, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I like it for these kids. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, have fun.
Listen, you play sports so you can date girls like that. Like, that's what you do. That's the whole reason.
Yes, and then, famous singers love dating athletes. Just what it is, man.
100%. I mean, that's the way the world works. Like, I can't apologize for how the world works. That's it. So you just embrace it. You celebrate it. I mean, she's going to write a song about him, in like 6 months, though?
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah. Fine. He could say, hey, that song's about me, guys.
And she'll make another $300 million selling out tickets. Listen, dude.
Unstoppable for us right now.
I think she's kind of different, but clearly different in a good way because that girl just keeps getting paid. All right, dude, listen. If I close this up now, can I say boomer, or are you going to want to keep talking?
Well, I could talk all day about college football, man. This is what
we do. Real quick.
We wait all year for this.
Wait, you know what? It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want. Cowboys, who are they playing? Did they play today?
They play the Jets. Yeah, I know. It would have been so epic with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Do they beat the Jets down as bad as they beat the Giants down?
I don't think so because the Jets' defense is so good. I think it'll keep them in any game. But I don't see how they get points, man. Zach Wilson against that Cowboys defense, that is a ferocious unit, man. And I think they can get pressure on any quarterback they play this year. So, again, I think Jets defense is outstanding, but I don't see how they score with Zach Wilson playing quarterback.
Micah Parsons is unblockable.
Yeah.
He's unblockable. Like, you had mentioned Lawrence Taylor. I'm sure there's other guys out there. But right now, he is that dude that is just unblockable off the edge. It is just unbelievable to watch.
And I use the Lawrence Taylor comparison because they move him the way they move him around. You don't know where he's going to be, right? Like we talked about how Joe Gibbs developed the H-back position to follow Lawrence Taylor around.
Yeah.
So he demands that kind of attention, and they use him all over. He can play on the edge. He can rush from standing up in the middle of the defense. So there's nowhere he can't be and be effective as a rusher, and he can drop into coverage. He can do it all, man. I'm just glad he decided to go to Penn State and not Oklahoma when he was a recruit, because he was
that close?
considering OU.
Was that close?
Considering OU, yeah. Yeah.
Was that during Grinch?
No, it was before that.
Okay. I can't imagine I can't imagine. I can't imagine a high level defensive recruit considering playing for Alex Grinch. Like that.
Especially not now. Yeah.
They're so bad, man.
You know what? I will say, though.
What are you going to say? Please tell me what you're going to say to defend Alex Grinch's defense.
Hold on. In your first year, you played a pretty good defense. You guys sacked Ellinger like 8 times that game in 2019.
Y'all were terrible. Tom Herman was a terrible coach.
He was, especially the offensive line. Herb Hand, the offensive line coach, should have been fired right after that game.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't watch any of this. Like, they run stunts, right? They run the same stunts every game. And our offensive line looked like they had never seen any of it.
Yeah. No, I don't give Grinch any credit for that. It's how bad y'all were terrible under Herman. It was a Mickey Mouse operation. I wish he would have been your coach for 10 more years.
He's so interesting, though, because his teams were always physically ready to play, but man, the mental side of it, man, just was not there.
No.
Wasn't there at all.
No, and that's why y'all lost to teams like Maryland and stuff. You had no business losing to those teams. Yeah.
Twice. Yeah.
I mean, Maryland was terrible, dude. They weren't even like kind of
terrible.
Good. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else in pro football? Any other matchups today? I don't know. I like the multi-view on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I like throwing up 4 games.
It's fun, man. It's fun. This season, though, with college football, it has an 07 like feel to it. You remember that? It seemed like every team that was ranked number 1 lost. It looks wide open. Georgia, to me, and I know it's hard to keep motivated when you won back-to-back natties, but they just don't look right now as of week 3. They don't look like a great team. They don't look like an elite team.
They look gettable.
Yes.
After the first 3 weeks, I would not be shaking in my boots to go play that Georgia team if I'm
No, everybody looks like they can get got this year. Everybody. Yeah. So it's going to be crazy. They're going to be upsets. I don't even know if we're going to be able to consider them upsets, right? Teams are just going to lose games that they, on paper, shouldn't be losing. And I'm here for all of it, man.
I love it. It's a great year so far. Our 2 teams are right where they need to be, and I cannot wait for next week. All right, man.
Quick, though.
There it is.
Next week. Look, man. Hey, look. Next week. Just a quick preview. We got some huge games. Have you looked at the schedule for next week? The national schedule.
No, give it to me. Week 4?
Man, yeah.
All right.
Florida State at Clemson. Ohio State at Notre Dame.
Do I have to do early picks here?
No, not at all.
Clemson is unranked. When's the last time Clemson was unranked? Man, that's insane. Clemson unranked. That's what jumps out at me right away. Seriously. Mississippi, Alabama, Colorado, Oregon, Utah, UCLA, LSU should roll that Arkansas team.
Penn State and Iowa.
Oregon State, Washington State.
Yeah. Ohio State at Notre Dame, man.
Oh,
top
that's
10
fantastic.
matchup.
That's
fantastic. We got a huge week coming up, so stay tuned. Our preview episode coming up.
We might have to
be out late Wednesday.
We might have to pick more than 3 games.
We can pick as many as we want, man.
We might have to pick more than 3 games because I would want to pick Ohio State. I would want to pick Utah, UCLA. I'd want to pick Bama, Mississippi. I definitely want to pick Colorado, Oregon, especially if the spread stays at 19.5. And then Florida State, Clemson. Man, that is a great line.
Yeah, and look, I know Clemson's been struggling, but we'll see. That offense is going to get going.
No, it will not. Why? Why do you think it's going to get going? There is nothing that indicates it's going to get going for the last 3 years at Clemson.
They got a new coordinator. And I know you hate him because of his last name.
No. I thought he was going to be good, but clearly there's either it's a talent deficit or they've got some sort of philosophy.
Their talent is issue. Their lack of playmakers is a little bit alarming at the wide receiver position.
Is Ugalele still having a pretty good season?
Yeah, he's all right. I mean, his completion percentage wasn't there yesterday, but He's doing much better than he did at Clemson, that's for sure.
Oh my God, dude. They did that boy wrong because I think he was a better quarterback. And they just kind of kept stringing him along and just not, I don't know. I did not like the way they handled that. And I think it affected them recruiting other quarterbacks.
And their scheme has not been good for years, right? They just had so much good quarterback talent that it's kind of masked how poor their scheme was.
Well, because
with Trevor Lawrence.
And you think about what Garrett Riley did in 1 year at TCU?
1 year at TCU.
Right? And TCU, you can't for a minute begin to say their roster was loaded. Nobody would have said that going into last year. So to not be able to kind of turn that around with what you anticipate would be a more talented Clemson team it's concerning. I would be concerned if I'm a Clemson fan.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, is there some kind of deal with him and Dabo where, because the offense, the head coach still can put the clamps on the OC and be like, I don't want you to run this. Don't spread it out too much. I'm just curious what that dynamic is. We'll never know, but it just makes you wonder.
You know what, dude? That was what was always so nice about Bob Stoops. Is Bob Stoops never made excuses for his offense scoring. Like, his philosophy was, if I score more points than the other guy, I win.
Correct.
And he's a defensive-minded coach.
Yes, and he said, I want to bring in the guy who I hated facing the most.
Yes.
Who would I hate to coach against?
So
Mike Leach.
So when they talk about clamping down, I mean, I don't know. He only won 160 games. I mean, maybe he could have won more national champ, but the defense wasn't the issue in national championship games. Two of those should have been wins against LSU and Florida. We got rolled by a great USC team, but all those other games, dude, it wasn't. Bob Stoops didn't lose because we were outscoring guys. That's not why they lost. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, man, what a great week! I did not realize. I just got so caught up with the fact that these games were so weird that I didn't even think about week 4. Man, this could be fantastic.
We'll see you Wednesday, man. We'll do it this week, and we'll get a preview episode up.
Hey, listen, this is a challenge. My challenge to you, Kevin, and every Texas fan out there is Oklahoma just got represented by a Buckus Award winner. Who are you going to bring to the Boomer Bevo podcast?
Well, first of all,
Gauntlet is thrown, Kevin. Gauntlet is thrown.
We live here.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care about home field advantage. You either win or you lose. Kevin. Okay. I just won today. I won and you lost. It's that simple. It's that simple.
I think Ted Lehman likes me more.
Dude, I know everybody likes you more. Nobody listens to this to listen to me. They like you more. On the radio, there were comments that Kevin does great. John does pretty good on the radio too. No. We really like Kevin. You know what? Screw it. I got Teddy Lehman. Win for me. Boomer! I'm going to say it right now and get off this. Boomer!
Hook 'em, man. Hook 'em. See ya.